Okay. So it's our honor and pleasure to have you, Rania, today in the ALLT conference.
Thank you. Should I get started?
Yeah, so you can start the presentation, your study, and we all hear you.
Thank you. So today I'm going to talk about something which is extremely important to consider when we have been making the move online. Now, whether we are online or whether, inshallah, when this COVID-19 fizzles away and we're back to our previous lives, the idea of the correct match between tasks and tech tools. I'm going to share with you the main points of my presentation today. Obviously, we all know that out there are hundreds and thousands of tools and platforms and different ways to become a 21st century tech savvy teacher. However, the burden is on us because we have to make very important choices, informed choices. First of all, before I start talking about the choices, I want to talk about the fact that the teacher's role has changed. And I'm not just talking about the COVID-19, I'm talking about the 21st century, wherein in the past we used to lecture, read out notes, give worksheets to the students, and then end up with a quiz. However, the teacher's role has changed. We're more now guides, facilitators, moderators. The idea of basically stand and deliver is now in the past, let's say. What also has changed is the fact that our students, this tech-savvy generation, live their lives using multimedia, live their lives on social media. So we, as teachers, need to ensure that we integrate that into the ways we deliver our content, the way we teach our skills, the way we try to meet our learning outcomes. And most important, especially where I come from and where I work, we focus on skill integration. The days of just going in and teaching grammar or teaching vocab or teaching reading are past us. So the whole idea of skill integration comes to the forefront when we start thinking how we're going to deliver our curricula, our syllabi, even our lesson plans with our students. So we're talking about the 21st century. We're talking about tech-savvy students. We're talking about hopefully tech-savvy teachers. And there are some fundamentals that we have to keep in mind. First of all, we need to organize our teaching, curate what's available online, and try to find the match between the materials that we have, the tasks that we have, and ensure they are repackaged, re-encapsulated in a digital format. And I'm not saying this because now we're all teaching online. I'm saying this because this is the best medium to reach out to our students. Remember, we're talking to students whose lives really evolve online, develop online. So why not learn also online? Whether they are physically in a classroom, in a face-to-face situation, or whether we are delivering information through a platform like Moodle or Blackboard. Mm-hmm. So what I'm trying to tell educators is that please don't think you need to throw out all your materials, start from scratch. No, I'm just trying to say that basically we need to adapt, to adjust, to reshape what we have, our golden lessons, our golden tasks, to suit the new format. Then we need to ensure that whenever we have an assignment, we either ourselves create engaging multimedia presentations to use with our students, to engage them, or give them the platform so that they themselves author, create their own engaging presentations. I am confident that many teachers everywhere ask their students to give a presentation. Now, for me, standing up and reading from a piece of paper or even memorizing the presentation and standing up and sharing it is not really a an engaging presentation. We need to do more. We need to expect more from our students. Why not also create interactive video content? Today, we're not talking about how to do things. I'm just saying the what, okay? To create interactive video content as we share the material with our students, or even more so if we're more adventurous, have the students create their own videos and share in a presentation form instead of the stand up and deliver mode. Obviously, any course, whether online or face-to-face, there have to be some quizzes. And now that we had to move online, this came at the scene front and center. How do we test these students? And people were wondering, oh my God, we're online. What are we going to do? How can we test them? Well, there are digital quizzes. Very many formats of creating a digital exam or a digital quiz to ensure that the students, to ensure that our students have, that's the word, digested what we taught them. All right, so how can we link our tasks and our tools? Remember, we need to create an online community, or even so, a face-to-face classroom community. And it's very important to engage the students and have them interact. So what do I suggest? I'm thinking of, we want to ensure the students explore, do some exploration at some point in time. And then, based on their exploration, come to class and explain to their colleagues, to their peers, what they have learned. And then, as a follow-up step, maybe we can give them something to apply what they've learned. So this cycle is extremely important: the exploration, the explanation, and the application. So the teacher, to prepare and set up her tasks, his or her tasks should assess what the students need, access the many tools online, the many resources online. I'm going to share a few in a few minutes, and then handpick, select. Not everything works with all students in all contexts. And it's our job now to carefully ensure that these meet our learning outcomes and the needs of my student. There could be a very flashy, tool that everybody is, ranting and raving about online, but it doesn't suit the student's level or their needs or my task. So selection is extremely important. Then I suggest that we adapt what is being used, or maybe if you're more adventurous, to create your own materials on that platform, on that application. Mm-hmm. And the last thing is to engage the students so that they collaborate using these tools. It's not a show and tell. It's a way to have them, hand use them, hand use the tools, maybe create their own questions, maybe use them to give a presentation. By the way, we educators are, digital immigrants. We've learned technology at a later stage, but for our students, they are digital natives. So it comes with them, much more easily than us. So some of us are, scared a little bit of trying this thing with the students, but I've tried things and they've always risen to the challenge. It's like, let's investigate. Let's see how we can use this or that. So just a word of warning, don't be afraid. All right, so what do we consider? We need to consider the cool tools, as I said a minute ago, but ensure that they meet my learning outcomes and my students' needs. I cannot begin to tell you how important this component is. All right, don't be deceived by what's out there. Just check your learning outcomes first and their student needs. Then we have to make sure that the students, after all the preparation, after the investigation, after the application, after whatever, give them a platform to share their work with an audience. And the last thing that's extremely important, it's an often forgotten variable in language teaching, academic teaching, is the idea of differentiation. What I mean by this is basically, for example, you're using Nearpod or you're using Padlet, and Lemma is the star student, so she finishes early. So what do I do with Lemma? Here I am stuck with my star student finishing early. So I need to keep that in mind while I'm creating my tasks. Or, for example, Mona is a little bit weaker. So maybe Mona and Lemma can work together. The idea of catering to the abilities and needs of each student. Maybe Muhammad is afraid of technology, but Ahmed is more familiar. So the idea of, linking their needs and their abilities to your tasks. All right. So I'm going to talk about a couple of things so that we can apply the tools to the tasks. If we want to explore, have our students explore, as I said, comes with it the idea of brainstorming. So what's very good to use is hyperdocs, a collage or a compilation or a bouquet of hyperdocs so that we can send the students off to explore. Then we can also use some interactive Google Slides, another tool. Either one is fine. Bitmojis, which are quite fashionable right today, and the students love them. It's basically a group of Google Slides that are hyperlinked. Okay, so that's a way, a platform. These are two platforms for the students to explore. Then when they come back to your class, I need to see them brainstorm what they learned. I need to double check that they've learned something and they've gotten what I had hoped for from all these links that I've put on my HyperDocs and my Google Slides. So Padlet would be an excellent app where the students pour in, we call it a brain dump. They pour in what they have investigated on that platform, or Answer Garden. I invite you to, if you don't know what these are, to maybe, spend time at your leisure to explore these tools. Another thing that we need to have our students do is collaborate and interact. And I'm going to repeat myself in case people joined in a little bit late. What I mean, what I'm talking about here is not just exclusive to face-to-face. This can take place it's not exclusive to online teaching, can happen in face-to-face classes also as well. So if we want them to collaborate and interact, Padlet. They can work together in groups and pairs. One person is the scribe, the writer, the others are the collaborators. We can have them use Google Draw or Jamboards, which are basically, if you don't know what they are, a bunch of slides shared with the students, where each maximum 20 slides, where each student can work in pairs or individually, can work on a slide doing a different thing. It's a great way for both group work, pair work, and also individual work for, as I said, the student who needs, to work alone or is having difficulties. So when you're setting up your task, you can use these tools to cater to the special needs of all your students. Then I'm going back again to Google Docs and Google Slides. In a few minutes, I'm going to share with you two simple ways to do that. Shared Google Docs, shared slide are the optimal way for collaboration and interaction by students, whether online or face-to-face. And the teacher, the professor, the instructor is like Big Brother is watching you. And I really mean it. You can see everything they're doing live as they type in their words, as they type in their comments, as they type in their paragraphs. So you are there. They are writing under your watchful eyes, let's say. All right. Don't forget that we always have to engage the students and make learning fun. How? Of course, gamification, gamifying our classes. And uppermost on my mind would be the 3 tools that I completely have depended on, whether in class or online: Kahoot, Bamboozled, and WordWall. The variety of things that you can get your students to do, whether collaboratively, live, or as an assignment that you send them, are endless. You can even have them create their own questions on Kahoot, create their own questions on Bamboozled. You can poll them, you can quiz them, and it's so basically I'm quizzing them and we're basically playing a game. So, that's assessment for learning. Speaking about assessment, of course, we need to talk about the idea of assessing students as they learn, for their learning, and at the end of their learning. And comes to mind at this point, very, very quickly, 3 main tools: Nearpod. And I think if I were to select the best tool, in my opinion, for online tasks, integrative tasks, I would recommend Nearpod. And I have used it I've used the library, and I've also used lessons that I have created. It's teacher-based, it's timed, and if you want, you can have it student-based, outside class. It's very flexible. The last thing that I want to talk about assessment here, the last item on assessment, point on assessment, is using online fora and discussion threads. Now, a lot of people forget this little tool that's available everywhere. It's available on Moodle, it's available on Blackboard. You just basically started a discussion. It could be a question based on a reading or a discussion in class. And the students go in and add their comments. The interaction and you monitoring how they write is priceless. You can also allow them to respond to each other and comment to each other. They do that all day on Facebook. They do that all day on Twitter. So why not in an academic online forum? The setup is easy. It's right there. All you have to do is type in your question and share. All right. Now, for us, when we teach our students, things happen at a certain time limitation. For example, there's the beginning of the class and the end of the class. What do we mean by that? I need to wake them up when they come into my session, and I need to ensure they've learned something. And these are some of the tools that I recommend. We call them bell ringers at the beginning of class. It's like, hello, wake up, here I am. And so we also to check attendance, and I can use any of these 5 forms to basically ask a couple of questions to check if Lema did her assignment last night, or if Lema is online with me, or if Mohammed actually ignored what I put on Blackboard as suggestions for, reading up last night. So, it works, it's fast, and it's done for you electronically. And upon exiting the class, another 5 minutes wouldn't harm them if they basically go, answer one of these things, a quick Zoom poll or a Mentimeter quiz or a 3 questions on a form to check whether they have digested what I taught. What are their takeaways from my class? This is very important, so that because this will decide which tasks or what task I'm going to do tomorrow or the next class. So to ensure that they have come prepared and to ensure they are what I need to prepare for the upcoming class. All right, so 2 tips before I leave. One big tip is how to extend your writing. Now, I do hope a lot of people attending my session are writing teachers. I'm a writing teacher. And as you know, we don't teach writing as an isolated skill. We like to integrate. So whatever type of writing, we can extend the assignment. We can extend the task. For example, I would like to recommend creating a Google Doc for groups. So you have 4 groups, and you create a Google Doc for each group. To facilitate matters, give the Google Doc and its group a distinctive name. And they always like to, we have fun thinking of names, the Lions or the Conquerors or the I don't know what, and they love that. And it's fun, and it's at the same time, it makes them a community. They bond. Even the creation of the name allows them to bond. All right, so what do we do next? And of course, I'm trying to lighten the mood because they're going to have to write. And usually my students are not very excited. They're not jumping up and down because they're going to write. So I try. So I give them access to these docs and permission to edit, and I divide them into the groups, and they color code their contributions. Mm-hmm. So group 1 uses blue, group 2 uses yellow. It's very easy to monitor who wrote what, and they get excited as I'm going in and giving feedback. I can do this also in pairs. I can use one document and have them all collaborate on the same document, or each group has a document. So later on, we can go into this document for group 1, that document for group 2, and so on and so forth. One document collaboration is very easy because basically you can see from the history who wrote what at what time. Plus the idea of, for example, color coding them. So for example, I would say like Ahmed and Mohammed are going to do paragraph 1 of the essay. Mona and Hora are going to do paragraph 2, blah, 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 and so on. So it's there, it's collaborative, and they are putting pen to paper. The next step is basically the reading. Now, reading is a very important skill. And for me, from my long years of teaching, if the student is a good reader, I don't have to worry. Life is going to be easy because they read. The problem is when they are a weak reader. So we try to help them become better readers. How can we extend reading? I will share with you like many ways to extend reading, but always think that reading is not the end result. Reading is the first step. Okay? Whatever kind of reading, whatever level. So, for example, after a reading, next day or in class or whatever, we create a Padlet, I share it, and they brainstorm the main ideas, brainstorm details that caught their attention, brainstorm their reactions, whatever. They can even outline it. So Padlet is a tool to extend the reading task. Another way is Google Docs. So Google Docs, they can, in them, as I said earlier, we can share a Google Doc so that they can write something. After a reading, they can write a summary of the reading on a Google Doc. And then maybe they can upload it to Padlet. I don't know how familiar people are with Padlet, but Padlet is very versatile. So that they can basically, from the same platform, do many things. Upload their Google Docs, for example. Then, after a reading, the students can create a PowerPoint, a show and tell, just like the PowerPoint I'm using with you right now. They can do it in pairs, they can do it in groups. I've used everything. I don't prefer the single individual ones. I prefer the group ones. Minimum of 3, maximum of 5. They can just basically present something about the reading. And you can give them different things about the reading to present. The author's tone, the author's purpose, the main idea, the details, whatever. I love Google Draw. And I always ask my students to annotate using Google Draw so they can basically diagram the process in the reading. For example, if the reading is about cause and effect, so they can diagram the causes and the effect. This is especially useful for visual learners. And it activates their deep thinking when you have them do something visually, like diagram process, or maybe compare and contrast using a diagram. Another thing is making an e-poster. The nice cushy name for it is an infographic, which is basically a poster, an e-poster, using pictures, very few words, to diagram the content of a reading, or the main idea and the supporting details of a reading. Please notice that all these activities are linking the visual and the doing, the action. They can complete a poll. If you're using Zoom, or you're using Blackboard Collaborate, or on Google Forms, or on Mentimeter, or on any of the tools I mentioned, they can complete a poll by checking if they read, or they can complete a poll about their feelings, their reaction to the reading. Always ensure you personalize with the students. And then another thing, if you're more adventurous, is to have them find a parallel reading. So I give them this reading about Martin Luther King, for example. I have a dream, the actual speech. Find a parallel reading, an article, written about it, and then have them play teacher. Today, Lama is going to be the teacher. She's going to lead the discussion. She's going to ask the questions. By the way, they love it, and they learn so much from each other. Actually, they learn from each other.
Sorry, if I may just warn you that we have only 2 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I will finish. When they teach each other, they learn much from each other. I mentioned the online discussion and the thread forum as an extension to reading. All right? Or find a video and ask questions about it. I will conclude by the following. I want to remind you all, please don't overdose the students. Small chunks, bite-sized chunks, 3 things in one session. Be very selective with your tech tools. Show them how to use the tech tools at the beginning, and then they will be familiar and they're going to be fine. Please make sure you give them some choices. Once it's a poster, once it's a discussion, once it's a video, once it's an audio, variety. And as I said before, always have them see visuals or interpret their learning using visuals. Get them to do things, not just to say or read out. And please don't forget, any task using any tool needs a follow-up session, which is a reflection on the whole experience, of the whole experiment. what they learned, what they would do next time if they had to do it again, what advice would they give others. This is a very valuable last minute thing to do at the end of any task you choose to curate for your students using tech tools. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rania. It was really informative, really enlightening, and it just, as we say in Arabic, it puts النقاط على الحروف. So you have mentioned everything about the interactive and dynamic environment, and how can we, as you said, tailor the different activities depending on our course content. So I have a question. So you recommend at most 3 activities in one session of a classroom, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So with the writing, so since you are an educator of writing classes, how do you think which application from the many you've mentioned is most suitable for writing with the distance learning?
With the distance learning, yes. For example, for me, it's Nearpod. Writing and reading Nearpod is excellent because basically you can time the students and then you can download it as a PDF and share it with them.
Okay, perfect. And the strength points of Nearpod, I think, is that, as you said, you can get, as an instructor, you can get a feedback and tailor your next lecture on based on the students' comprehension, and whether there are certain concepts that you feel you need to repeat, right?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. And of course, there's variety because you have multiple choice. You have open-ended questions. You can make a poll. Right. You can have them. Yes, you can do many things. They can match, gap match, vocabulary. Pair words. So it's very good. Even sometimes I use their own essays, removing the names, and I put it on Nearpod and we manipulate it.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lana.
What honor and pleasure to have you, Rania. And have a nice day. Thank you very much.